All right, folks. Now I'm solving famous instruments in science, and we just solved test tube in the name of the Father for the first time in world history. And these are some of the most famous instruments in the history of science. The test tube. I'm like, are you kidding me? Okay, so it's flawless in its design. Here's all the plus twos, 6 of them in number. A single plus 1, just like in Father, and the rest of the letters all divided by 3, just like Father. Okay. So cool. I mean, the word test at the very front is perfectly Father, all by itself, because you have the 3 plus 2s and the 1 plus 1, just like in Father, okay? And any other letters divide by 3. So that glorifies the Trinity at large maximally. And then tube, of course, just keeps the party going, okay? So it's a test tube, and a tube is for testing out theories and all that. So test tube has been solved for the first time in history for the glory of God the Father. And here's the date and time in all good science. So science equals Father. So I'm happy to enter into the lab. So we are going into the lab, and we're looking around, and we're solving famous things. A flask. Like, I love getting the imagery here, because it really hits it home to you. Like, if you're going to make a movie about a famous scientist and a famous scientific discovery, I guarantee you, somewhere at the center of the scene, you're going to have conical flasks. Because this is like the epitome. This item here is used as an icon for science all over the world. The famous conical flask. Like, so there's many different types of flask. Flask is Father perfectly, okay, in its offset. And then conical divides by 3, so conical flask is gorgeous for Father. So this is so cool to be solving all this. This is the most famous item in science, I would say, other than the test tube, is the conical flask. Like, don't argue with history. Don't argue with all the labs all over the universe, from Oxford to the high school down the street. It's the conical flask. This is the very icon of science. The conical flask. So I'm here to solve it for Father. It's already been done, and now you can keep just, oh man. A volumetric flask would work, because that divides by 3. A round flask would work. The first word divides by 3. Volumetric, round, conical. But, so just the word flask is the easiest thing that comes to mind. It's Father minus 9, it's offsets and 3s, and you can spend a little more time and point out some obvious things here. Lots of 6s in Flask. I mean, the SK makes 30. That's flanking, you know, the TH in Father, and then an L is also 6. Double 6 is divided by 6, and A is an A. Like, it's just glaring. And you can just, the more you look, the more you see. Okay, Father, Flask, but the main thing is the offset plus 1. Okay, when you divide by 3, so Father and the Flask, and then this gets better when you call in the conical flask, because conical divides by 3. And what's cool about that is then you get a perfect even offset. Like, I want to write out the full glory of the conical flask. So conical flask equals 106, which is Father plus 48. Gorgeous even number offset. And that's accomplished in 12 letters and 24 strokes. That is superb for the Trinity, just like Father is accomplished in Father equals 58 in exactly 6 letters and 18 strokes. There you go. So Trinity, flawless, so conical flask. Very cool. And at the top is the rim, plus 1. Okay, what else? Let's just... a Y tube is also Father, just like this, the channel YouTube, very obvious. So test tube, small test tube works, large test tube, a U tube. All right, tubes plural. Simple Father. A pear-shaped flask, fine. Now you're just getting, that's cool. Pear-shaped flask would make, therefore divide by 3. Section flask. There are lots of flasks. Oh yeah, the canola. It really hits it home to you when you get reams of this imagery, courtesy of an image search. Oh, canola. Is that spelt right? Interesting. Apparently I'm getting a syringe. Huh. I've never solved the word syringe in detail. syringe. Forgive me, folks, that is not correct. Preaching myself here when you got to brush up on all this. There, that's correct, as I just did it naturally without thinking. It's got 9 there. Oh, well, looky here. Syringe is father, +1. Yay, it just keeps falling into our lap. So, syringe is father plus 39 for the Trinity. And then you can point out obvious correlations. For example, the bookends equal the same thing, 24. And then there's a +1 right there, just like the y. They differ by 24. Ing is offset. This is really, yeah, I say this is really, you can see a lot of things, but ing is 30, just like this is 33. And then the a and the y are a very famous offset to differ by 24 and are both +1s and so. Okay, yeah, no, it's pretty darn glaring. Father declared in syringe. And with a little, like, you can easily find father. Just pop off the y and n as one example. Done, you know, and there's your father. Owns the syringe. Yep. Well, that was a very big find. What else in the science lab? The burette. Oh, man. Good old titration. The burette. Burette is +1 for father. Oh my gosh. Burette. I believe you can poke around and titrating. Yeah, that's what I suspected was going on. The root of titrating and titrations is flawless for father. It's 88. It's 3 + 2 is a single +1, and then the other 2 letters divided by 3. So titrate is identical with father in its design, and while glorifying the Trinity maximally. Okay, so all titrating, titrations, you get the idea. But the burette, very obvious. Burette. You can even, if you could find 33 and pop that off, you could do that. That's fine. Burette. That's so cool. Why not say the burette? Because then you get this massive. The burette is so gorgeous because you get this 4 + 2s in the front, 4 + 2s in the back. Remember, father is the famous the + 2s. And then these 2 guys in the center divided by 3. Very obvious for father. And so the burette is father + 66. And when you set up this apparatus, my friends, father is on top, okay? That's one thing I've been getting from the Lord. I strongly believe and know. What is on top vertically? What is at the very top? Well, it's called the lip. The lip or the rim. The 2 simplest words, and this is confirmed when you play basketball and you sink a basket, basket equals father. And in the sovereignty of God, we say, oh, he's above the rim. Rim, father, lip, father, lid, father. These are items that are on top. Okay, they are on top. And so father is on top. He is the top of the Trinity. He is the command giver. Jesus told us that. Okay, the Father sent me, father. Okay, so what is on top? Well, the lip, the rim. Okay, and there's a bunch of other, you can think of other words to describe all that stuff in top's plural. Okay, but burette is on top. It's the highest, and then clamps. You can solve all this stuff, but then stand is on the bottom too, and stand is also father. You know. Oh man, welcome to chemistry lab, folks. Stand equals father. Stand equals father. This is your titration lab. Oh my gosh. That can't be the correct spelling of burette. That's probably the Americanized version. Alright. Good old titrations. Science equals father. And then the science lab just maintains offsets. So, alright, we solve the burette. And then there's the meniscus. Oh boy. Meniscus. Meniscus will parallel Jesus flawlessly. I'm amazed at how all these things yield the Trinity. Watch how Meniscus is Jesus. This is so beautiful, because the N is the single plus 2, goes with the E, and then the M and the S and the S are, it's so beautiful. I believe that's how it's spelled. I mean, thank God for Google. Everything is, by the way, spelling parallels Father. Oh, I didn't spell it wrong. Ho-hum. I didn't spell it right. Yeah, so it's called the meniscus. Well, maybe then it will parallel Father. What? A water meniscus. The meniscus is technically on top. Well, that would be curious. Yeah, meniscus, as spelled correctly, is Father. Amazing, folks. So Father is on top. So what's on the top of a liquid in the test tube? Well, it's called the meniscus. See how spelling matters? There it is. What's on top? Oh, the meniscus. Oh, Father is on top. Father is on top. Meniscus equals 103 plus 1 when you divide by 3, okay, equals Father plus a multiple of 3, of course, it's 45. So now you can do a comparison. So scrap that whole look there, and now you can, the meniscus on top. And then Mercury is plus 1 for Father, water is plus 1 for Father. Oh my goodness. Fascinating. The meniscus. Oh my gosh. The meniscus. Oh boy. The meniscus is on top. Oh man, and then eye level. That's a famous phrase for Father. Look at eye level. Oh my gosh. Eye level. Father, so glaring. You say eye to eye. But look at the beauty of eye level. All the plus 2s are evenly spaced, just like this. The plus. Look at eye level for Father. Wow. Someday you will behold the face of the Father at eye level, or whatever, eye to eye. But look at how beautiful eye level is. Plus 2, plus 2, plus 2, plus 2, plus 1s. This is so beautiful for Father. Okay. Eye level. Wow. Enough said. That is screaming it out. So, according to this, you read the meniscus at eye level. And you're staring at Father is on top. And what are you looking at? Oh, numbers. Because numbers rule the universe. Meniscus. Father on top. Don't argue with the history books. It's here and it's not going to change. Meniscus. Father is on top. And then that refers to the surface. So surface is plus 1, just like meniscus. Let's just get a few. Oh my gosh. Apparently this is what I'm doing today. Meniscus equals, or surface equals number. And this is 30 points higher, right. The meniscus, the surface. You can poke around. I typically like checking at the center just as a quick. Oh man, this is huge. Just like the center of the word kiss. So Father equals kiss, and at the dead center is IS. Wow. Come on, baby. I like to be perfect when we have the time. So this is a huge revelation for science and for mankind. And by the way, let's get the word science on the table. Let's get it right underneath Father. In fact, everything is underneath Father because he created all this. So Father is always on top. So Father created the kiss, Father equals kiss, and Father created science. Okay? But look at how the dead center of all these words equals the great 28. Okay? Dead equal. And in fact, like this, an I differs from an H by 1 point, an S from a T by 1 point in the other direction, EN equals an S. I've seen that everywhere. But there it is, folks. Like, there it is. You saw it here first. This is history in the making before your very eyes. Father owns every kiss, owns all science. and owns the meniscus, which is on top. Okay, the meniscus is on top. And God has been saying that to me everywhere now. He's saying, what's on top? Look around. Everywhere in this universe, vertically speaking, what is on top? Father is on top. Father is at the top of the Trinity. He tells the Son what to do. Jesus told us that. Jesus told us that. And we know Jesus is God and doesn't lie. Okay? Father is on top. Okay? So meniscus is on top. This is science, folks. This is science at its glorious, like its best. This is such historic stuff. Like, there have been so many test tubes, beakers, and everyone has to read that meniscus at eye level. It has to be exact. Otherwise, you could poison someone. The mixture isn't perfect. Mercury is a very famous element that yields a very prominent meniscus. Look at the meniscus in mercury. Isn't that gorgeous? Wow. Look at that. So I believe this is a red thermometer like alcohol, but look at the meniscus in mercury. It certainly is on top, and I felt like I was attracted to the convex because that makes it glaringly like a top. Oh, look at how beautiful mercury is. Pure liquid mercury has the most beautiful meniscus ever. It's the convex. Look at how strong it is. Oh my gosh. That's mercury. That's convex. Water, mercury. Meniscus. Father is on top. Even the word capillary is Father. Now the word convex parallels Christ perfectly. So you get a Christ-Father combo. Father gets the last word as well, which is meniscus. And we saw that you study the Gospels and the red letters, and almost like so many of the last words of Jesus in his sovereignty point to Father plus one. Like the word watch, for example, and a host of other. Mercury. So mercury and water for the meniscus. Don't you love going to the purest of the pure? So mercury and water, how do they compare for Father? Mercury is 103, which equals meniscus. Wow! A huge revelation for science. I wanted to get a little more footage of this discovery here. That is absolutely spellbinding. Absolutely gorgeous. That is so irrefutable and gorgeous. And then and then look at all the threes. And so Father, remember, is flanked in 6, flanked in letters that divide by 3. Okay. And so the obvious thing to do is point out the 3's in meniscus, like an M plus an N is the cube of 3, and E and an S is 24, and a C to U is another 24. Pretty glaring. Yes, sirree. You can find a love on top of this, everything but the U, but that is so glaring. So see, that's why I take time to check the centers of words. And I'm constantly checking the center. It's like, what has God ordained to be at the center? And so that was satisfying to see. Very cool. Oh, the meniscus is in the house, and it does not disappoint. So meniscus equals mercury. And then water is, of course, 67. They differ by 36. I have noticed this multiple times. When things are clearly associated, check for like surface and meniscus. They differ by a multiple of 6. Like I've seen that everywhere. And remember, Father is flanked in 6. Okay, enough said. So these differ by 36. The difference between these bottom two is 36. I'm just writing that down. Meniscus, surface, 30. Difference between mercury, water, 36. Mercury. Mercury, the first planet around the sun. I just like checking centers. Okay, so mercury. I'll bet you can find 58 in there, Father. Mercury equals meniscus. You've got, that is so gorgeous. Let's point out the obvious. A CU is a CU. An ME is an ME. And then the rest, obviously, equals the same thing, but okay. And then you can make a very obvious letter for letter correlation. That this is so cool. We're solving every meniscus in all Mercury in the history of the universe. And in fact, you have 2 R's and 2 S's. Well, that's pretty glaring to me because they're in the same slot around the CU, and they differ by 1 point exactly. An S is 1 point higher than an R. Very similar, obviously. And then this NI is as close can be to the Y. It's going to differ by 2 points in the opposite direction so that it balances flawlessly. Meniscus equals Mercury. Let's get a nice color close-up shot of that. So here you have it, folks. Meniscus equals Mercury. Parallels Father. Why? Because Father is on top. God the Father is on top. There it is. There it is, folks. Wow. Oh, wow. That did not disappoint. Okay, meniscus, Mercury, Father is on top. Okay, that did not disappoint. I'm happy to be in the science lab, aren't you? We're in a gold mine when you enter the science lab and all the words. And by the way, because science is Father and lab divides by 3 very obviously, it just keeps, in fact, science lab equals number. So we're scooping up the numbers in the science lab as we should. Laboratory, and then what's cool, oh man, if you call it a science laboratory, then you get +1 again. Very famous +1, Bill Wilson. So a science laboratory is a 1-1 combo, but science equals Father, and enough said. You can find more. You can check at the center of a laboratory, and oh, love at the center of a laboratory. Like, it's just, what is God ordained? Oh, there's love. Can you find love in the laboratory? Yeah, it's at the dead center. Okay, oh, it's the first letters of oration. You know, an oration which parallels. Okay, and then. Okay, enough said. Enough of that. Okay, so I like solving the instruments. So that was huge. Well, see that? I had to get my spelling right on meniscus. Otherwise I wouldn't have gotten the glory. Now you know why we learn and why teachers insist on spelling. It's all, like, now that you know that you know. It's like you kind of understood. You kind of felt that you needed to do it, but now you know. The graduated cylinder. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a pure 3 fast, and then pluralize it. So that was cool. We solved the meniscus. Man, that was huge. That was so huge. An eyedropper, sure. That's what they'll call that, is +1. What else in the science lab? Microscope is a father-father combo. I want to get a nice, some of the famous, a scale, okay. The science lab. Okay, I looked at that already. What else is in the science lab? Funnel. And then don't be afraid to pluralize these things, like beakers and funnels. There's lots of them. There's always tons of beakers. Like, no scientist gets just 1 beaker for the day. He gets lots of beakers. Beakers is Father +3, okay? And you just pop off the BA and there's your Father verbatim. And what's cool about this Father verbatim is, again, it's the same pattern. 3 + 2's, a single +1, and the rest of the letters divide by 3. And no less, they divide by 6. Just, there it is. Like, there it is. That's Father verbatim equals perfect equivalence. There's Father found in beakers, and then it just adds 3, the B and the A. Amazing. Absolutely flawless. Absolutely flawless. Father owns the beakers. And I've always pay attention to EA words. It's like God is saying big here. Father owns the beakers. The beakers. Like several trillion of them in the history of science. And so that's why you always pluralize things, to see the glory. You're playing Scrabble with the king beakers. I mean, this is science. This is a beautiful image. I love color. God gave us many colors. There are many beakers to hold the colors. Colors and beakers are both +1. Okay, just by way of confirmation for you, colors, every letter divides by 3 except for the great S, which is the +1. Okay, so colors, in fact, equals meniscus, equals Mercury. Like, very famous number for Father, we've been seeing a lot of, +45, but it's all offsets of 3s for the Trinity, but Father's at the center of it all. So here we have a perfect picture. Many colors in many beakers. But the names of these items, beakers, points to Father, the name above all names, God the Father. Wow, what else are we going to find in the science lab? It's like, what are we not going to find? Okay, so beakers, that was awesome. I mean, how do you mix things without having more than one beaker? So it's beakers, folks. Just like colors. Rarely do you see one beaker alone. They like to hang out with friends. They're a very social bunch. Beakers. Beakers in the lab. I mean, it's the very essence of science. Beakers. Now, tubes comes to mind. You see tubes, racks of tubes, racks of tubes. Tubes, just like beakers. Again, 3 plus 2 is a single plus 1. No less, it's the same as beakers. It's the S on the end. Well, there's your tubes and there's your beakers. In fact, tubes equals water. You know, most common ingredient that has ever been held in tubes is water. Tubes equals water for who, class? Father. God the Father, who owns all the water and owns all the tubes. And he owns YouTube, which parallels Father, and Google. That was cool. So we got your tubes, we got your beakers, you know, and write these things out. Beakers equals 67. Tubes equals 60, excuse me, this is 60. Which one equals 67? Of course, this one does. This is 6 points less. Okay. So this equals Father plus 9. Pretty obvious, isn't it? You got your tubes, you got your beakers. You have your genius, is what you have. The word mix is Father. And then you can solve like experiments, use it. Experiments is Father. And glaringly so. Once you know how it works, the gold is just in your lap. Experiments, majority plus 2, so the number of plus 1s. You get your beakers, you get your tubes, and you do a lot of experiments. Okay, but again, experiments, just like everything we've been seeing, like with beakers and tubes, the number of plus 2 letters outdoes the number of plus 1 letters by exactly 2, just like in the famous name above all names, Father. So there you go. Father owns all the experiments, all the tubes, and all the beakers. Wow, that's pretty awesome. Bubble, bubble. Okay. And everything related to temperature is laden with Father. Celsius, Kelvin, Fahrenheit contains the letters of Father verbatim in the same offset. Heat, cold, hot, flame. Okay. The old Bunsen burner. You can solve Mr. Bunsen for homework, and the Bunsen burner divides by 3. But so why don't you pluralize it? If you go into a lab, there's many Bunsen burners, and it's just one of the funnest things to talk about, the Bunsen burners. Yeah, that's how it's spelled. And then you can go dig into the deeper, like who named after Robert Bunsen, right? I've solved a lot of, yeah, and there's his plus 1, Wilhelm, German, not surprisingly. He's got 2 middle names that are plus 1 for Father. And Robert divides by 3, and Bunsen divides by 3, and so now you have, I've solved Robert for Father before, it's glaring, so now you have Bunsen burners for Father. And it's basically doing the same thing I've been talking about. The number of plus 2s dramatically outweighs the number of plus 1s. And again, I marvel at the similarity in all this. Again, it's like the S's. Bunsen burners. In fact, it's like crazy. Like it's just very obvious. Bunsen burners. Did I hit all of them? Yeah. 7 plus 2s. Okay, fine. Bunsen burners, we solved that. And what would science be without explosions? Seeing as we're hitting some of the... so we solved all experiments, well, why don't we solve all explosions? Because that's one of the funnest things ever in Experimentville, is a good explosion. So explosions, in fact, explosions equals... I just saw that. Explosions equals experiments. Now we're hitting it really good. These are Holy Ghost moments where you just simply marvel at the sovereignty of God in real time. So explosions equals experiments. Wow! So Father owns all the explosions and all the experiments, and now you know why they share the same letters. It's all sovereignty of God. Okay, explosions, experiments, same thing. Just so that that's on the board, it equals Father plus 90. Pretty glaring number for the Trinity, 90. There it is. Explosions and experiments. Father. And if you can spend more time poke into the center of these words, you know, see what you find. I'm sure you'll find more. Absolutely, the more you look, the more you see. Explosions and experiments. Oh, man. And how do you read? How do you read a beaker? Oh, it's a line. Oh, fill it up to the line. Well, line is father, just like number is father. What is a beaker? Oh, it's a bunch of lines and numbers. Line plus 1, number plus 1. Father is on top. Meniscus, that was so cool. And then if you want, you can solve the beaker mouth. That's where the stuff comes out. Okay. Mouth equals Christ is father. Beaker divides by 3. You can play around more, get more of this. Okay. I've solved chemistry and chemist before and all those big words. In fact, chemist, okay. Chemistry, alright. So we solved the beakers. Solve the test tube. This is probably going to be a disturbing chart. You do as much of this as you can. Oh my gosh. Laboratory glassware. You gotta love these people. You got to love teachers. Whoa. So number 1 on this list is test tube. Oh, it's a nice large file. So we could, you know what, folks, let's maybe we can. And of course they're all made of glass, because glass is, doesn't glass equal father? I think glass equals father. Yeah, glass equals father. Yeah, oh yeah, this is pretty obvious, folks. Glass equals father. Yep, here he is in the lab. All right, so test tube we solved. Oh man, so tubes, okay, I'm just looking, so beakers we did. Oh, the Erlenmeyer flask. Ooh, Erlen. Oh my gosh, you're gonna love this. Any scientist is gonna love what I'm gonna say right now. Remember how we solved the conical flask to maintain the offset for father perfectly? Okay. I wish I could show you this calculator like in a separate window and all that it's reporting, because that's what I'm basically staring at this whole time when I'm doing all this, and then I write things out. But this is absolutely confirmed by the Erlenmeyer flask, because both frontwards divide by 3. And wow, this one's 120. I really like that. But both work just fine. So you have a conical flask, you also have the Erlenmeyer flask. All beneath father. So remember, father and flask are the same offset, and then these divide by 3, so the offset is maintained gorgeously. But Erlenmeyer is just, and you can research who that came from. But what, oh man, so Erlenmeyer flask equals 169 equals father plus 111. Yeah, gorgeous. A gorgeous trinity glorifying number. And that's 15 letters, 46 strokes, 46 double 3. That's pretty sweet. Very stunning. And I would say now push yourself higher and say the Erlenmeyer flask. And now what you do is you add the famous 33 onto this to make it 144. So I will get a separate painting for that, separate chart or whatever. Now you get the famous 144, 12 times 12. The Erlenmeyer flask. And what's glaring to me about that is the sheer number of +2s in Erlenmeyer. Like, it's so many E's. Okay. And now it strongly outdoes the number of +1s, just like the design in father. Like, let's just finish the party here. Okay. Obviously computers can do this, but it's very pleasurable. I want to show you how pleasurable it is to do with your mind. It is exercise for your mind, and it's the pleasure of using that. So, glory of glories, the number of +2s in Erlenmeyer flask exactly outweighs the number of +1s by 2 perfectly, just like father. And then the rest of the letters divide by 3. How many are there? There's 2 in father. How many are there in Erlenmeyer? 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And they got the FR. And they're glaring. Like, it really sinks into you. Because all the letters that divide by 3 in Erlenmeyer flask all divide by 6. R is 666, L is 666, R is 666, F is 6, F is 666, F is 6, R is 666. Father completely is glorified in the Erlenmeyer flask. And that is the official name for arguably the most famous icon in science. Okay, it is used as an icon for science all over the world. The Erlenmeyer flask. Here it is. Okay, that's what it's called, the Erlenmeyer flask. Most people would not argue that this is probably one of the most iconic symbols of science all over the world. So it's like if you have a science lab that does not have one of these in it, it's not a science lab. Like you've missed the most iconic instrument in science. Oh, what is this? I just saw something that's on top. It's called the stirring rod. Take a look at this. Father's on top. What is this called? Well, it's called a glass rod, a stirring rod. Okay. And so rod, plain and simple, just like the word lid. Okay, so rim, lid, rod are on top. Okay, on top. Okay, it's a rod. It's a glass rod. Well, the word rod is +1 for father, just like the word rim and the word lid and the word lip is on top. And it's very glaring because the final letter is +1 at the end of pure letters that divide by 3. It reminds me dramatically of the word colors, where all these letters divide by 3 and then S. Okay? Done. And of course, when you paint something, the colors end up on top. It's the last thing you do. Colors on top. So there you go. We solved the rod, the glass rod for father. Now, the word that came to my mind is the stirring rod. Stirring divides by 3. Okay? Maintains, in fact, it divides by 6. Maintains opposites from stirring rod, father. And so now push yourself higher, talk about the stirring rod. Done. Okay? Or just simply, if you want to be real cool, you'll just say the rod. Okay? 3 plus 2 is a single plus 1. 2 letters that divide by 3, that is identical with father. Enough said. In fact, that's disturbing. That is father plus 12 in exactly 6 letters and 15 strokes. Letters and strokes divide by 3 for the Trinity, just like father. The rod, as in the rod of Moses that parted the Red Sea. The rod was certainly on top. Okay? When God came to Moses in the burning bush, he said, "What is that in your hand?" He said, "A rod." God ordained that. And here we are, several thousand years later, now in the sovereignty of God, solving the rod for the glory of Father. Isn't that mind-blowing? Okay? And you can, the more you look, the more you see. The is contained in Father. That's why you always try and get the in front. You can always pretty much do that. And then the D differs from the A by 3 points perfectly. The R equals the R, and then the F and the O divide by 3, differing by 9. Pretty awesome Trinity, like the rod, as in the rod of God. It was called in the wilderness. The rod of God. And that's a Trinity glorifying experience because now all threes, it equals mathematics. Just, okay. But that's what Moses used, a rod, to part the Red Sea, to trump Pharaoh and all the rest of it. Interestingly, the word trump is also father. It's a great word. Father gets the last word. So that's just a huge gem. Father is on top, glass rod, okay? And that comes in last, and you'll stir. And man, it's fun being in a science lab, like glass rod. Oh, the pipette. How do you spell pipette? I forget. Could be multiple editions. Yeah, I got it right. Oh, pipette is father. The pipette, as spelled. Oh man, pipette is 91. We saw another 91. And we wanted to get more gems on Erlenmeyer. The pipette plus the burette. Oh baby, we're just hitting this one out of the park for father here. It's the pipette, man. I mean, this is one of the... Pipettes are huge. Like, just do an image search for pipette. Bang. And they're glass, typically. The pipette. And then you have the sophisticated versions and the pipette. Father is in the lab. Oh man, Dad's in the lab. Get ready. Cool stuff gonna happen. Glass, wow. And then bulb is +1. So yeah, oh my gosh. On the end of the pipette is what is called the bulb. The bulb. You call it the rubber bulb. Because, and the rubber divides by 3. So bulb +1 father. Father's on top. What's on top? Oh, the bulb. Called the rubber bulb. And that's glaring because it's pure +2s. This is just a gold rush. Rubber bulb. I mean, it sounds fun to say because they share a lot of the same, all these +2 letters, just like in father. Everything else divides by 3. The rubber bulb, that's disturbing. rubber bulb is disturbingly, like, look at all the sixes. Just pair of U's, 42, LRR, all divided by 6. Rubber bulb equals 103. That equals meniscus equals mercury. And we know how famous those were in science. Like, we really spent time on that. The meniscus and mercury equals meniscus, and then, lo and behold, the rubber bulb comes along. That's on top of the pipette. And when you... the pipette is in the house. For the glory of the Father. Okay. Man. So these are glass pipettes. These are the king instruments, folks. Welcome to the laboratory. Father God has been waiting for you. The creator of science equals Father has been waiting for you. He has ordained it all and prepared it all for your personal satisfaction. Get into the laboratory in the name of the Father and Jesus Christ the Son and the Holy Ghost. There it is. You heard it here first, folks, on Jesus equals 888 TV. Pipette, Father. Glass bulb, or rubber bulb, Father. Like, you don't do a lot of pipetting without that rubber bulb there. Okay. This could be referred to as the tongue. I don't know what the terminology, the tongue is Father. It's the pipette, man. And then it's a Pasteur pipette after Louis Pasteur. Is that correct? Pasteur pipette. Here it comes, folks. Here's a father-father combo. Pasteur pipette. This is the confirmation, folks. There's your father-father double. And I believe that's named after Louis Pasteur, which is a father-father combo. Welcome to the laboratory. Father owns it all. Okay, Pasteur. I'm just going to be quick about it. +1 Father. You can dig in, scoop up more gold in the center, everywhere you want. Just scoop up the gold, kids. It's all sitting there. And then pipette, Father. Now, I love it when God does this. You get a triple Father combo. And this is exceptionally fun because the P is +1 and an S is +1. So it's really fun to say. A Pasteur pipettes. PPS. Okay? Pasteur pipettes, you get +1, +1, +1. It's a Father triple made in heaven, so it's going to make a gorgeous 3 fest. Yep, it equals Will You Marry Me? Done. A very famous trio, a very famous 3 fest, and look at the hopscotch effect yields 2 gorgeous numbers that divide by 3. Okay, every second letter on teams, two teams yields these gorgeous 3 declaring numbers, 111 and 99. Okay, so there you go. Father first, Pasteur pipette, and then you have Louis. Aye, that felt very good. You can also call it an eyedropper, okay? And I zeroed it because I want the +1. So an eyedropper is +1, just like a pipette. Father is in the house, and he's never going to leave. He's here longer than all. Okay, glass pipe. And so now if you have a glass Pasteur pipette, you now have a +1, +1, +1. If you now have glass Pasteur pipette, now you have quadruple +1, and you just keep going higher and higher and higher. So that, my friend, is a glass Pasteur pipette, and that is a rubber bulb +1. And then it's named after Louis Pasteur, of course, whose first name is Father and his last name is also Father. And glaringly so, because they're both even numbers. That's +18 and this is +42. Louis Pasteur. He's basically one of the most famous scientists in the history of the universe. Many people call him, accordingly, the father of microbiology. Well, we're here to solve his personal name for the glory of God the Father. Done. And it's very simple. Remember we had that's Louis. All the front letters divide by 3, ending in an S. Enough said. Okay, this is exciting. What else in the lab will we find? Pipette. I gotta spend, like, just pipette is such a loaded set of letters. Like, man, this is a gold rush. So pet, look at the bookends make a multiple of 3, just like in Father. You can get love in there beautifully. There's a love in pipette. And then I like to check the center. The most obvious thing I need to declare, which is a glaring formula at this point, is that the number of +2s over the number of +1s in pipette is exactly the same design as in Father. And it's glaring because they occupy the same position. The +2s are all near the end. Okay? There's 4 of them over top of the 2 +1s. The +1 is the same letter. This is so glaring for Father. Okay? So the number of +2s exceeds the number of +1s by 2 exactly in the word father and pipette, and the rest of the letters all divide by 3 flawlessly. So there you go. Father's name is declared in the pipette. And if I was to add up the number of chemical compounds and discoveries that have been made in world history as a result of a pipette being in use somewhere, it would be incalculable, you know, the sheer trillions of dollars and hours of labor and, okay, enough said. Pipette, father. Wow. And the more you look, the more you see, so, pipette. Oh my gosh, I have to solve pi. I can't believe I've never solved pi until now. I have just solved pi in the name of the Father. Pi, as in 3.14. Pi, you know, pi equals 3.14, and I'm going to embarrass myself because I don't know a whole lot more than that. I just haven't taken the time to memorize it. But there it is. There's pi. Father is +1. Father takes the glory for the famous math term, pi. That's very satisfying, because some people would choose the pi symbol as the very symbol of mathematics. But there it is. Father owns pi. Oh wow! Just hold on. So 13. And how would you want to compare those letters? I would just compare the dead center. Okay. Dead center. Now I'll bet you if people study the actual digits of pi, you'll get a lot of +1s coming at you. Anyways, like the most obvious thing that I see in pi is it's 3.1. Well, there's your +1 on top of 3, and then it's followed by 4, which is a +1. Okay. But this difference at the dead center is 3 points exactly. Okay. Remember how we were looking earlier at father and kiss in science? You can look up at that. It's the famous word is. God is love. Is equals the dead center of Father. Okay? Parallels the word be. God said, let there be light. But pi, just this p, this +1, is 3 points offset from the s. So it just is equals th at the center. Why not put pi at the center? Obvious Trinity glorifying experience. God the Father, his name, is the same offset as pi. And you can find pi perfectly in Father. Pi equals 25. And so you can find it multiple ways, which is extremely rare. That's very obvious to me. The first way that I found was the most obvious of all, 20 + 5, 25. But then you can do it another way. Oh, and then you have an IP address, of course. An address is +1 as well. But another way you can get it is, oh man, this, FRA, excuse me, like the bookends there. So there's another way to get pi in Father. So we just solved pi, the mathematical name and symbol pi, to the glory of God the Father. That is very satisfying, because it's a very short word, is it not? Ooh, okay, that was awesome. And then you can point out a few extra details like, oh, pi, you know, the +1 letter is right there in the front, okay, and I on the end, you know, this is 9 and this is double 9. And then there's the famous word the for Father sitting right there, okay, so, and then F, of course, just keeps the offset from the P, so if you wanted, you could add that to Team Gold. And now you have a very beautiful, obvious, simple painting of pi glorifying God the Father, while the Trinity at large is maximally glorified, because it's all offsets of 3s. See that? So the Father's name is pointed to, while it's all a giant 3-fest, so the Trinity at large is glorified. Isn't that beautiful? The, like the most famous word in the English language to start things with, is sitting right there. Cluster that, 33 in 3 letters, 9 strokes. The A and the P are the only +1s in each of these words. Well, line them up. Same team, gold. The I and the R are on the ends, both divide by 9, being 9 and double 9. And then the F might as well just join Team Gold because he divides by 3, so that'll maintain offset from the P. And so disturbing of disturbing and glory of glories, this FA is 7, now differs from 9 by the P, Just like the R was 9 points higher than the I. I believe with all my heart, I have just solved pi for the first time in history for the glory of God the Father. I don't think anyone has ever done that. And here's the date and time. Lovely threes, by the way. Friday divides by 3 in 6 letters. The current time divides by 3, 1113. It's the 30th day of the 9th month, 2016. Everything divides by 3 in the name of love. This is a very holy moment. Okay. So, Father and pi. So, for the official record, I am so in love with this. Let's see if I can. I instinctively would like to put blue first. Blue is on top, the color of the sky, and the color blue is father color. And I'd like to go gold just so the opposite is maintained. And why don't we do the 3 primary colors just for simplicity? And that's really cool because red actually does divide by 3, just like R and the I. But that's fine. It's just another way of painting it. Father, pi. But what we saw there is that a P is 9 points higher than an FA for the Triune. And then a P is 9 points higher than an FA. And then an I is 9 points less than an R. So there you have, and so PI then equals the word far, in father. And that is glaring to me because then it leaves the intact in order, the 3 plus 2s, none of which exist in pi. There is not a single plus